Hey, everybody, welcome to AMP. Today, we're going to be going over 15 powerful questions that you can be asking yourself to set yourself up for success in 2024. So welcome to those of you that are here live, and then welcome to those of you that are watching the replay. Just going to change the view here. There we go. Feel free to ask questions along the way. But first, a story. Everybody likes a story. When I first got into real estate, so I haven't been in real estate very long, but I have been in real estate for about 22 years, I think, 21 years, something like that. So I'm finding my feet along the way. But when I first started in real estate, I was working in an office. It was a very successful little name brand office. And there were people that were doing exceptionally well. I was not in that category. Mr. Forbes, welcome. So I was there, and I saw a business coaching advertisement that someone would come in and do free business consulting with you, just to help spur you on. And so this young business coach came into the office, and we're always taught that real estate's a business within a business. And so we were sitting there, and he was just chatting to me. How does it work, and what does it do? And so he was a business coach in all areas, not just real estate. And he started to ask powerful questions to me that I didn't really love the answer to. But it was a cause for soul searching. And so he said to me, so Rob, let me ask you a question. Of the 8 agents that are working within this office, are there any that are successful? And I said, oh, yes. And I started to name this person and that person and this person. He said, well, tell me, what kind of business are they doing? And I said, oh, this person sells, 5 properties a month. This person sells 3. This person sells 8 properties a month. This person is doing this, and this person is doing that. And he said to me, he said, so do they have access to things? Does the boss favor them? Does the boss give them leads? Is the boss giving them things that you don't have access to? And I didn't like the tone of the question, and I didn't really love where that was going, because I had to say, no, no, the boss doesn't play favorites. The boss isn't giving them leads or whatnot. And then he said this to me, and this was career changing. He said, well, we can rule out that it's the office, and we can rule in that it's you. and he's like, so if you want to do the things that those guys are doing, if you want to get the results that those guys are doing, then you're going to have to start doing the things that those guys are doing. And so that's a little background as to why I think that questions can be very, very, very powerful. Welcome to all of you that are just popping into the chat. Today, we're going to be talking about, and I'd love for you to grab a piece of paper or maybe your smartphone or whatever, because I am going to ask you some questions, and just to kind of percolate your thinking as we move forward into 2024, to see, you might be totally successful and you wouldn't change a thing. But for most agents, you will want to just tweak something, maybe somewhere along the line, to do a little bit differently, a little bit better in going forward. We'll start with an easy true or false question. So if you've got your bit of paper there, you can label this as question 1. True or false? And I think we've got people from Queensland, we've got people from Adelaide or from South Australia. I'm not sure where everybody else is from, Victoria. So just be thinking about in your state, just think about the legislation in your state, all the knowledge that you have of the legislation in your state. You'll need that to answer this question. In your state, there is a limit on the number of properties that you can sell each year as a real estate agent or rep. There is a limit, and this is a true or false question. I think I can see some smiles going across the screen here. I think you guys might have the same legislation that we do here in Western Australia, that there is actually no limit imposed by the state government on the amount of properties that we can sell. So that's a real blessing because our potential is uncapped. We can just get to work, implement our systems, and get cranking. And so that's a really powerful thing for you to realize, that it might not be going well for you. It might be going fantastic for you, but there is no limit on the amount of deals that you can do. So going to jump into our questions, and this is going to be a self-audit scoring system. And the sliding scale goes from 1 to 10. And it doesn't matter whether you're a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, you'll be able to adapt these to your markets, right? So 10 being best and 1 being not so great. And I would rank 10 as being world class, like you're the best of the best in that, right? So some categories on a scale. What I'd say to you is write your answer, and then I'm going to come back and ask you a follow-up question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at prospecting? On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at prospecting? And what I'd say to you is, if you can, I can see some people popping some scores into the chat. What I'd love you to do is just grab a piece of paper and do this as a self-audit. And I'm going to come back at the end of there's 8 of these questions that I want to ask you, and then we'll move on to a couple of other things. But so on a scale of 1 to 10 prospecting, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at your personal marketing? That means your self-promotion as an agent, making people aware that you're an option through marketing, on a scale of 1 to 10. And everybody's cracking along. We've got 10s across the board so far. That's great. For those of you that are sales agents, the next category is appraisal. For those of you that are buyer's agents, it's more of a needs analysis assessment. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your appraisal or your appraisal process? Because there's only very few key activities that we do as agents that actually produce money. And if you're in real estate for the money or to help people and the money as a result, these skills are important. Now, the next question and next category I want you to rate yourself on is at the listing appointment, taking the listing, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself at converting the appraisal to a listing? So you got the actual signed bit of paper. The next question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at marketing property? You've got a great system. You got your photographer in place. You got your drone people in place. You got your television advertisement, your newspaper, whatever it is that you do in your particular spot. How good are you at, when I talk to agents, one of the things that they hate the most is writing ads. And I'm not saying that you love it, but if you don't love it, you got to find a system that makes it so it's less painful. So that's marketing property, a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your negotiation skills? I don't mean your order taking skills. I mean your negotiation skills. And as agents, you will be well aware that we use negotiation in everything that we do. everything we do. It's not just about the contract. Everything we do is negotiation. Do you understand frames? How to pre-frame someone, how to go through the frame, how to reframe somebody, how to reframe your position in your persuasion. And the next one, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at your after contract communication and services? So you've got a deal in place, property hasn't settled, but all the way through to settlement. How good are you at that on a scale of 1 to 10? And then the last category I want to ask is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at scripts and dialogues? Now, it depends on where you're at in your real estate career. If you're newer, you might be mastering actual wording to say. If you're old like me, you might be tweaking your tone, how you say things, the way, the when, and whatnot. It's all about the messaging. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank yourself? We're going to just take a pause there now. And I'm going to get you to go back up to the first question, not the true or false one, but the first ranking yourself question on prospecting. So whatever number you put there, what would it take to get you to a 10? What would you have to do to get to a 10? Or at least move up a number or two? You know, like if you said you were a 5, what would it take to get you to a 7? And I would just encourage you, you've taken the time out to be in this meeting, I'd encourage you to go through this process just to get your brain working. Moving on to the next one, personal marketing as yourself as an agent to your sphere of influence and to your market area. Whatever you ranked yourself there, what would it take to go up the ladder, to move towards 10, to be 10? Is it you need to invest some more money? Do you need new headshots? You know, were your headshots taken when John Howard was the prime minister? You know, do people not recognize you at all from your headshot? We have a gentleman that's, let's just say, very experienced at life here locally, and his business card photo was taken about the same time I got into real estate in 2002. You know, so it's not accurate. But you know, what do you need to do to get your personal marketing brand awareness up the ranks? The next one is under the appraisal category. How often do you practice your appraisal? That's a query and a question. Like, do you know what you're going to do at an appraisal, or were you like me when I was complete dingaling and went to 50 appraisals without converting one to a listing? So nobody on this screen will be worse than that, I guarantee it. But you know, do you actually have a game plan? Now I have the same thing. I do the same thing at every appraisal. Every appraisal is the same. It's different. Doesn't, like, the property styles are different. You know, it could be a little unit, it could be a beachfront, it could be whatever. But what I'm doing as an agent is the same. And it's a process that works for me. And I keep saying number, under the listing category, your skills 1 to a 10. What do you need to do to get better at listing? Because as I'm looking at the screens, the faces on the screen here, I know all of you are really good at certain things, but you have to work less if you can get the listing better. You know what I mean? Like if you're an agent and you need to go to 30 appraisals to get one listing, that's a lot more legwork than if you need to go to 2 appraisals to get one listing. You know, like it's a lot easier. And then with your marketing property scale 1 to 10, what do you need to do to get to a 10? like I see some of the way some properties are marketed and I think, oh, that's next level. That's really good. And but you gotta have horses for courses as well. Depends on your marketplace. Then your negotiation sliding scale 1 to 10. I don't know what you put yourself down as, but what can you be doing to improve your negotiation skills? Negotiation is something that you have to understand the framework first, and then you can work on getting your skills better. And then 1 to 10 on your after contract through to settlement service. What would you need to do to get better at that? Is it about giving gifts? Is it about your communication frequency? Is it about making sure the properties are clean? Is it making sure, whatever it is? Is it pre-framing your sellers on what their responsibilities are in the sales process? Is it pre-framing the buyers on what they need to do going forward? And is it pre-framing? Here, we got a couple more people jumping on. Let me just add them in. Is it pre-framing everyone throughout that process? And the next question being scripts and dialogue on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you need to do to get better at the scripts and dialogues? The question would be, do you know what to say in any given situation? Do you have frameworks that you use, dialogue frameworks? Like I just can see Bjorn's smiling face there. He's recovered from his jet lag from Vegas. He's got frameworks that he works within. So he knows if this happens, this is what I say, and it doesn't mean that it's all flows smoothly and there are no problems and everyone's living a Pollyanna life. It just means when this happens, it's like when you have a spare tire on your car, and you have a flat tire. You can panic, or you can know how to change the tire. So it's something that you can be working on. We'll just open them. You can unmute yourselves for a minute. I'd like to get some feedback from you. True or false, there is a limit to how many properties you can sell in your state. Anyone got a limit?
No.
No. So there's no limit in Queensland. What about in South Australia?
I don't think so. There's a limit.
No, there's no limits there. No limits at all. Lorraine, I don't know. Is Lorraine here? No, oh no, she is there. Lorraine, is there a limit in Victoria? She might not be. She might be in a position where she can't unmute herself. Pretty sure there's not. What does that bit of information tell you?
You're the master of your own destiny.
Mm.
As much as you want to work and as much money as you want to make, you can do it. So the only limitation is yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know anyone, and hopefully it's not the person in the mirror, but it could be. Do you know anyone that's in I'm gonna mode all the time?
Yeah, I reckon we probably all should put a hand up, because we probably all.
I definitely need to put my hand up.
Yeah.
I'm only thinking. I work with an agent from time to time, and the amount of times that the agent has told me they're gonna start prospecting, I don't know. That's been going on for 24 months.
Yeah.
So we're not to the stage yet where we've got the analysis paralysis. We're just pre-analysis paralysis about prospecting. Meanwhile, somebody else just comes along and blitzes it. So
you know what, Rob?
Yeah.
I've seen people that have I'm gonna, and they're all gone. Every single I'm gonna is gone. 16 years in real estate, none of them are still in the game. And I've seen people that have just gone out and done stuff, even if it's nowhere near perfect. It's just, I'm just going to go knock on a door. I don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to go knock on a door. And they're smashing it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna is like a cancer for us agents. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it is so. And if you are struggling with that, I really recommend that I don't have it here in my office, but I would recommend that you either get the audio book or even just YouTube James Clear. Atomic Habits, the book Atomic Habits, but there's plenty of YouTube videos if you're cheap like me and you don't want to buy a $22 book that could change your life. You can just watch the audio book or listen to the audio book. It just comes down to habits. And let's talk about the elephant in the room that we can all put our hands up for different aspects of our business that we're going to do things. What's the number one reason that stops us from doing that? Something.
Discipline.
Discipline. Yep.
Discipline.
Yep. For me, my observation for most people is fear.
Yeah, fear of failure.
Well, some people, there is the fear of failure, but other people are afraid of success. So that's a two-edged sword: fear of failure, fear of success. If I'm successful, I'm going to have to change some stuff, and that comes into the discipline question or whatever that was, or a comment that was made. You know, it is powerful. So I'm encouraging to be thinking about that aspect when you're moving forward, thinking about 2024. We still got 75 days or whatever it is in 2023, so definitely don't be pulling your foot off the accelerator now. But just as you're thinking about 2024, does everybody have a patch that they work, like an area that they work?
Yes.
I'm seeing head shaking. Yep.
I suppose from us on Harvey Bay at the moment, we have been biting off a bit more than we can chew. So our goal moving forward is actually to focus on a more defined zone or area, rather than trying to conquer everything, which is what we've been doing a little bit too much of. So yeah, we attended that social media masterclass in Brisbane last week, and obviously chatted to quite a few agents down there. And it was probably the one thing that I sort of realized that's where we were going wrong.
Yeah. I don't know if you're old enough like me to remember something called a UBD street directory.
Yeah.
But most agents think that's my farm if I can have everything that's in this street directory. You know, more turf is not always better, particularly if you're reestablishing your business or you're redoing your business. Start small. Could be 500 homes, could be 1,000 homes, 2,000 homes, whatever, but 15,000 homes isn't a place to start because you don't have the power, the energy, the enthusiasm, but most importantly, you don't have the systems in place to handle that. And you can't do that on a regular basis. Coming through. Yeah.
Actually,
Clint.
so for 8 years, I haven't had a farm area.
Yep.
I've always relied word of mouth, which has just helped me. And I'm only just starting now. I'm doing a farm area.
Yeah, look, we have a girl in Western Australia, and she caps every year, and she's an amazing agent, and she's energy based. That's all she works with. People in flow. And she does great, and she's happy. She lives by the beach. She goes to coffee with people, and she doesn't do any direct mail, whatnot. She does have a little side note. She's in her mid-40s, and she's lived in the same community since she was born. So she knows a lot of people. So she just does her sphere of influence marketing. But she probably has 8,000 people in her sphere of influence, you know, like it's just
having a, if I can just add, Rob, having a farm area or a BDM or whatever you want to call it will add, if you do it properly and you focus on maybe like 1,000 to 1,500 homes, you're better off becoming a rock star to 1,500 to 1,000 people than being an average small fish in a massive pond to 20,000 people, right? Because that'll get you, like I've been working my farm area for, since 2010, so a long time, 13 years, but it will consistently bring me in anywhere between 10 to 20 homes a year.
And then you get a lot of business that flows off of that.
As a bank. So I'm like what Clinton said, referrals and doing the right thing by people and making people feel special and getting business that way. But if you want that extra 10 to 20 homes a year, your farm area, just by being consistently seen in that farm area, it will deliver that by having a good farm area strategy.
Yeah. I want to ask you another question so that we can go back through each of those categories. You just want to look and see, you know, hey, what can I do to move the needle further up the rank in each of those categories. Because if your prospecting is moving towards world class, if your personal brand marketing is moving towards world class, you increase your appraisal skill. That is being able to meet and interact with people, go through a sequence. Like for me, mine's all question based. My appraisal process is completely question based. Same as Bjorn's. Bjorn and I, we had a chat. Oh, it must be 2.5 years ago now on the phone one time. And he and I were chatting away, and we have met each other since, but we hadn't at that stage as far as face to face. And even though the slight differences, the strategy is the same. It's focused on the client, and it's asking questions to the client to meet their needs. You know, the days of coming in saying, I'm amazing, I'm the #1 agent. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. Just, you're lucky I'm even here. That kind of strategy that you see in the industry, those days have sailed, you know, or maybe they haven't. And just the people that are attracted to that aren't my tribe. You know, like, I just don't think that that's the thing. The next question, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions around goals and your categories. So I'm going to ask you again, these are ranking questions, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being world class. We've got about 10 minutes left, so we won't keep you after class. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your current health and fitness? Scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, and you don't have to share this in the chat, how would you rate your financial position on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, I don't know, Elon keeps calling me for a loan. You know, Bill Gates is hitting me up to borrow money. And 1 being, well, I've already got 3 jobs and I'm driving Uber Eats just to make ends meet while I'm prospecting. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're in a hard spot and you got to do that, you do that. But yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank your spirituality or your faith? You know, are you in line with your core values? Like, it's not a religious question necessarily, but it's just everybody's got their own spiritual side to them.
That's been tested lately.
And the next question, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank your quality of family time? And if you're single, that might be, you know, whatever, you can do that. If you've got family with young kids, you've got to do that. The reason I ask that question is because I see so many people in real estate go through, and they go through, like, I don't know, I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents over the life, and they put so much into the business to support the family that the family doesn't know who they are, and the family abandons them and moves on. And they give everything, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It doesn't have to be that way. You can get better and smarter, so you don't do that.
Rob, I'll be really quick.
Yeah.
I sat in a room recently at EXPCon with the #1 producers of EXP, right? The top 100 people in EXP. A lot of them are feeling it really financial at the moment because the United States isn't doing that great. And when it comes to things about family and health, I looked around this room and I went into that room thinking I want to be like these guys. And I come out of that room thinking I'm glad I'm Bjorn. I don't want to be like any of them, because I was surrounded by people that had $10 million in the bank, $15 million in the bank, doing $1 million in sales. Not a single one of them had a life. And when it got around to me, and I'm like, I work 4 days a week. I go fishing, I play golf, I see my kids, I go to my kids' recitals. I considered myself the wealthiest man in that room, even wealthier than Glenn Sanford, who's a billionaire.
Yeah. Because
he works and works. I asked Michael Valdez, what do you do in your free time? And he was like, I put my effort into the company. Like, some of these guys have no life. Yeah. So stop trying to chase success as money, because it's not money. It's about having a balance. These are really good questions, Rob. That's all I wanted to add. So.
Yeah. And my philosophy is different than a lot of people's philosophy, but some of you will or won't know, I used to be a clergyman before I got into real estate, and did a lot of funerals, and no one ever at the funeral, none of the families that were gathered around the casket, no one had said, geez, we wish this guy would have worked more. Really wish this guy would have been away from home more, or had their phone glued to their head more. No one said that. What do they say? Wish we had more time. Wish we had more time. So with that, final questioning comes down to, do you have clear, written, specific goals for those categories? Your faith, your finance, your fitness, and your family for 2024, as well as your business. Last question, and this is kind of a wraparound question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank the systems that you are currently using to do real estate for your business? Now, processes and systems, most agents that get into real estate are very social people, and they'll do the paperwork later. We'll get organized later. That's where we slide into the gunna. You know, for most of us, if we can get a listing into Agent Box so we can get it online, we've won. You know, we don't think much after that. So I want you to be thinking about that. And then, of course, the follow-up question, what can you do to improve that? Like, if I'm honest in certain aspects of the way that I do things, I'm a 2 at some of these systems, and I need to get to at least a 4 to make it survivable. So I'll leave you with this one last quote that I saw somewhere, and you might have seen it as well. A goal is something you work toward to win one time. A system allows you to win every time. So there's a couple of you writing that down, so I'll read it again. A goal is something you work toward to win one time. A system allows you to win every time. So when you're thinking about the questions that we asked, you know, prospecting, 1 to 10, what's my system for that? Marketing, what's my system for that? The appraisal process, what's my system for that? Asking for the business to get a signed selling agency agreement or authority or whatever it's called in your estate. You know, what's my system for that? With the marketing of the property, what's my system for that? I call this photographer, I do this, we do that, whatever. What's my system for that? The negotiation process, what's my system for that? My contract to settlement process, and even post-settlement, what's my system for that? My scripts and dialogues, what's my system for learning scripts and dialogues? How do I know when to use which script and dialogue? Those are all things that'll be what I call TPQ, thought-provoking questions. Any final feedback before we sign off? Anybody want any final comments?
I know that the one thing, when I had my business beforehand, one of the major things I put a huge amount of effort into was writing a systems and procedures manual.
Yeah.
And everyone said, well, why don't you focus so much on the others? And I said, because if I can do this, I can give it to other people so I don't have to do it all the time.
Yes. 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That's how I learned to make a Big Mac when I was 16 at McDonald's. It's a system. And if they can get me to do it, they can get anyone to do it. You know, it's and so we need that in our real estate offices sometime. Any other final comments? We got 2 minutes left.
So, Rob, with your appraisal process, what's you said like you always use the same method. So I just want to hear from you, like, what's it like
In a snapshot, in 30 seconds, I arrive. I say, this is the place. Can we sit down and have a chat? Do you mind if I ask some direct questions so I can best help you? What makes you want to have an appraisal now? And whatnot. Once I find out why they're having an appraisal now, they're moving, they're divorcing, they're whatever it is, great. Can you show me around the property? I'm not going to take any notes because I want to absorb it as a buyer does. Walk through the property. Where would you like to start? At the front, please. And depending on the nature and the time frame and whatnot, I might actually start at the letterbox and then walk back. After I'm at the back of the property at the pool or the back garden, whatever it is, if it's a flat, I'm in a little garden, whatever, I turn around, I clap my hands together, I say, great, let's go work out a plan. Then I use blank pieces of paper and I sit together and I draw bits and pieces and I ask them a set series of questions and I use it as a menu at a restaurant, and they pick and choose their method of sale, their pricing strategy, the marketing options that they want. And I ask them all along, check closes, and I will ask them at least 70 questions in that process to get them to say yes 70% of the time. Not 70% of yes 70 times, so that when I ask for the business, they just say yes.
Stop trying to sell them, I'll just solve problems. Glenn Sanford said the reason he's got an 89,000 agent strong count and he's the biggest company in his world is because he set out to solve a problem. He never set out to have 89,000 agents. He never set out to be a billionaire. He just set out to solve a problem. And the result of solving the problem resulted in him being a billionaire with 89,000 agents.
I never talk about myself, the company, nothing. I only talk about them.